Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey/X/. What was the scariest thing that ever happened to you?
Not paranormal, but scariest thing that's ever happened to me. Be me 2001. Go to Jacksonville to visit some friends in college. Me plus 2 guys and 2 girls end up going out to a club. I hate clubs, but they are all under 21. At some point while I was getting drunk and scamming on girls, someone in our group made friends with 2 guys. Friend finds me at the bar and tells me that they are leaving to smoke with these guys. I was still trying to hook up, so I told them I would grab a cab and pick up some beers on the way back. About an hour later, I leave the bar and pick up beers, get back to my friend's apartment and go in the door. I do not hear anything as I walk to the kitchen, but something seems off. As I am putting the beer in the fridge, I hear whimpering and some muffled words. Decide to not let my presence be known until I find out what is going on, but not really scared. Turn the corner into the living room and walk into a horror scene. One of the girls is tied to the couch gagged and one of the shitheads is using bleach on her. One guy friend laying in a pool of blood, other guy friend hogtied on the ground. Freeze. I always carry a razor-sharp pocket knife and rage and instinct kick in. Flip out the knife and cover the distance between me and the first guy, the one with the bleach. He hears me running and turns around just as I stick my knife in the side of his throat. We go to the ground. I pull the knife out and start slashing anywhere I think there is a major artery. Other one jumps up. Was not scared during the charge, but when we hit the ground, I know I have number 2 to deal with, so trying to get back to my feet as quickly as possible. The scariest moment of my life was when I saw the gun, and I knew I could not make it to the second one in time. Time slowed down and I heard nothing but saw a flash, and then another. I did not feel anything but knew I had been shot. Momentum carried me forward and I got my left hand on the gun and pushed it to the side. It all happened so fast I do not really remember anything except just stabbing. It seemed like we were on the ground wrestling for an hour. In reality, it was probably a minute. I know he dropped the gun at some point because I remember seeing it on the ground and I did not want the second one to get to it. At some point, we ended up next to the first one. He was bleeding out from the neck and gurgling. Remember being relieved that I did not have to fight him, too. While we were wrestling, I just kept stabbing anytime I could get that hand free. Eventually, the second one just stopped fighting, but I kept stabbing. Probably stabbed him 30 times after he was dead and 60 or so times altogether. Suddenly, sound came back in and I heard the girls and the one guy screaming. It was muffled because they were gagged, but it broke me out of my trance. Cut the guy and the girl loose and told someone to call 911. Checked on other guy friend, but he was dead. They fucking stomped his head in after he tried to fight. They had hit my other friend over the head and subdued him pretty quick. I guess while that was going on, the other friend tried to jump in and they beat him to death systematically over the next 30 minutes. After I checked on my dead friend, I looked at the other girl and she started freaking out and telling me I was bleeding. Passed out not too long after that. Woke up in the hospital. 2 bullets, one nicked my lung, the other is still lodged in my chest between my chest bone and my lung. Found out later these 2 had been assaulting and robbing people up the coast of Florida. P.S. I'm not some tough guy fedora samurai or anything. And if you were to ask me what I would do in that situation, I would probably tell you I would run and call the cops. I'm lucky to be alive, and I probably should have just left and called the cops.
God damn, that's nuts, man. Glad you survived. How are the others doing? Poor guy got killed for no good reason. That sucks.
I really reclused myself after it happened. Luckily, it happened out of town, so no one really knew exactly what happened, and the guy that died wasn't from our town, so that helped. Still pretty good friends with the guy that survived. He's doing fine, wife and 2 kids. We never really talk about it, though. It fucked me up for a long time, and I just wanted to forget about it. He told a few people, and a few people around town have brought it up with me, but I never wanted to talk about it. My wife didn't even know until one of my friends told her, and I had to tell her the story. Haven't talked to one of the girls literally since it happened. She sent me a letter once, but I threw it away. The other girl used to call me a lot or just show up at my house crying and wanted to talk about it. For a little while I entertained it, but eventually told her that she needed to go to a therapist. She did, and she's still around town, but I kinda lost connection with her over time. I wasn't okay with it for a long time until one of my good friend's wives found out about it. She's a physiatrist and pretty much made me come over to their house once a week for therapy for a couple of years, and now I'm kind of okay with it. Here's the knife that I used. It was only a couple of months old then and still had the factory edge, so it did a lot of damage. Still carry it on me every day. I have a big tattoo on my chest that covers them pretty well. 22 is pretty small anyway. I can't even find this one sometimes. It's where the back of the chair and Lincoln's arm come together.
Probably one of the scarier things I've experienced. Used to go and hang around in this abandoned factory out in the woods. It was pretty far away from the main drag, so we could do a lot of bullshit there. Never really had any spoopy experiences there besides one night in particular. I had driven my mud truck out there because it was the only way to get out there without walking a ton because the old driveway was heavily blocked. So I used to use a wheeling trail to get up there. Drive up one night waiting for my buddy to show up because we planned on camping out in the boiler room because of autism. Sitting in my truck while it is idling to stay warm when all my hair starts to stand up like if you built up static and all the lights and radio die. The truck is still running because the old mechanical diesel required no power to run. More just like what the fuck than scared at this point. Get out of the truck to see what the issue is. Immediately feel like I am being watched. Hastily look under the hood to see what is going on. Cannot figure anything out. Hear shuffling in the woods. Start to get weirded out. Can only see what the moonlight allows. Catch a glimpse of something way too tall to be human. Hop back in truck as fast as I possibly can and try to get the fuck out. There are more of them. I can hardly see driving through the woods, almost hitting trees. Finally, after a bit, I run into my buddy who is white as a sheet. Quad had stalled and would not start again. Had been seeing the figures too. Had been moving slowly closer to him since he had been stuck. Tell him to just get in. We'll get Quad in the morning. After I made it out of the woods, the lights came back on. Went to find the Quad the next day was all banged up and all his supplies were gone. Dragged it home. Have been back after. Never had anything like this happen again.
Coming home from a road trip with a friend in April last year. Driving down the 5 from North Cal to SoCal. Nothing but desert. Friend takes a nap because he is useless on road trips. Looks dark up ahead for some reason even though it is like 3 p.m. Realize it is a huge storm cloud over the valley we're about to drive through. Kinda weird, but I guess even California gets rain sometimes. There is a hard switch from dry to rainy once we pass under the cloud. I mean, it is pouring. Driving further, we pass a sign that has the name of the town. Do not remember the name cause it was pretty generic. Just remember the old wooden sign. Soon as we pass between the cliffs on either side, it is really foggy. Look around and realize there is not a single person there. There is a building every now and then, but no people. Thinks I saw one truck parked somewhere. It is Monday. Should not there be people at work or something? Getting really creeped out, wake friend up. He is creeped out now too, no help whatsoever. Says it reminds him of Silent Hill. Hey, we should turn on the radio. In the game, that is how you tell if there is a monster nearby. Switch to radio. It is mostly static with a bit of music coming through. Now we are really freaking out and trying to get through this place as fast as possible. As soon as we see the end of the cliffs on either side, we feel instant relief. The fog ends, the radio comes on. It is raining the entire rest of the way home, despite there being no sign of clouds prior to that one over the town. I lived through Silent Hill. I still wonder about why I didn't see anybody, even at the gas station. I'm not counting the other people driving on the freeway, just what I saw in the town around it. I did some research. There's been a few deaths in that place, a few historical and a few very recent. All of them related to vehicle accidents, if I remember right. I went back through the town, and it looked and felt completely different. I didn't even recognize it.
B9. Parents divorce. Father moves out and lives in the old cemetery caretaker's house, right up against this old spooky graveyard. I love going there during the day, exploring the woods and the cemetery. Explore the house one day while Dad is doing yard work. In the basement, there is an unfurnished bathroom and a long hallway. The hallway is about 30 or 40 feet long with no electricity, using a weak-ass 80s flashlight. The tunnel leads to a literal gate with a musty, earthy smell from the other side. No way to get through. It is welded up. I feel really uneasy on the walk back. Walk backwards while facing the gate. Ask Dad about it. He says he does not know and to forget about it. That night, the only ghost I ever saw in that house, despite being next to a graveyard. Hide under the blanket, but wake up sick as a dog and have to go back to Mom's and eventually the doctor. Well, I eventually asked about that when I was older. Turns out the caretaker had dug that tunnel into a crypt and Minecrafted the corpses.
Was 9. Lived in a fairly large court with neighbor friends. A new family moves in with girl around our age. She starts to play with us. Get along with the group. A few months past, summer vacation starts. Everyone plans to spend the next few weeks together playing video games and playing Pokemon cards. Does not see her for a few days without notice. Ringed the doorbell and knocked on the door a few times over a period. See her mom and dad's cars still parked in the lot. About 2 days after last checking on her, police cars were everywhere in the lot. They will not tell me what is wrong, but remember one of the officers swearing and another one puking. Dad's tells me that the police said they came to investigate after the next-door neighbor mentioned a bad smell and no response. Sam's parents were found dead. Sam was still missing. Was asked a few questions by the police. I cried that night. Not sure if it was because I was scared for my family's life or worried for Sam. Almost 8 days go by when I find out that they found her. She was dead, but apparently she was in a similar state to her parents. Do not understand it. Years go by, in college. Take several criminal justice courses for a minor. Casually looking for cases to brief. See a familiar case. Discover that Sam and her family were once members from a cult. They fled and changed identities under witness protection. Sam's parents were actually her siblings. Cult believed that by consuming the flesh of others, you could intake their essence. Cults regularly practiced mild cannibalism, involving eating at least 3 people. 6 people were charged. Quiet whimper in library as I see photos of those bastards did.
Few years ago in high school, first month of summer break, parents at work. Sitting in my room playing with a couple friends online, around 10 to 11 a.m., thought I heard a car door shut, so I figured one of them came home early. I get up and open my door, immediately black out. In a complete void. Try to speak, but hear nothing. Try to move, but feel nothing. Wake up sitting in some chair, head dangling between my legs, arms completely limp, blood dripping into a pool between my feet. Hear voices, but do not recognize them and can not understand them. Go back to the void, see a distant object, looks like it is moving but cannot tell the direction. Wake up again, face down lying on something completely numb. Eyes dart around but can only make out blurry shapes. Colors seem too dark. Back to the void. Think I am dying and this is the afterlife. get intense feeling of dread and sadness. Object getting closer, look directly at it. Wave of fear washes over me and it starts moving faster. Wake up in my own bed with a horrid migraine and teary eyes. See Dad sitting at the foot. Try to talk to him but only moan. Tells me that I had them worried sick, etc. Managed to slur out what happened. Dad says he came home at 4 and found me in a corner of the living room, banging the back of my head against the wall, mumbling something, and called 911 when he saw a blood stain behind me. Tells Mum I just fell to not scare her as much. Ever since I have had semi-regular nightmares, and when I wake up, the same spot on the back of my head aches horribly.
Backstory. From the time I was 6 until I was about 14, I lived in an old carriage house in rural Pennsylvania, Delaware County, and had lots of weird shit happen to me. This house was built sometime in the 1700s and was basically 4 large stables, which were converted to garages at some point in the early 1900s. My house was over top of these, and you had to go up a long set of stairs at one side of the house to get in. At the time, this house was almost completely in a woods. Pic related, it's a Google Maps pic of the place. Looking from the side stairs, you'd have to walk up to go inside. Be me, maybe 9 or 10. Mom asks me to go pick up laundry from the laundry room. Laundry room is on the complete opposite side of the house and required going outside, downstairs, and around the front to get to. It is a windy day, and it is oddly cold, although it was early summer. Go down the stairs and around the front of the house. Feel like I am being watched from the woods. Once I am in the laundry room, I feel a bit better, as I am out of sight of the woods. Gather up the laundry and start the journey back upstairs. As I walk outside, I notice that in the 2 to 3 minutes since I walked in, it is much darker out now, almost like it was going to storm, but it was also eerily quiet, which was very odd, as it was also windy. As I round the corner to the front of the house, I get the watched feeling again. Get to the bottom of the stairs and peer into the woods, as I am really uneasy at this point. Hear a voice which sounds like my mom calling my name. Anon. As I turn to look, a huge tree branch nails me across the back, almost like someone swung it. Knocks the wind out of me, and I drop the clothes. Nope the hell out and run upstairs and tell Mom. She was nowhere near the front door and did not call me. Huge welt where I was hit. We go outside and the branch is no longer there. Okay, here's another. Typing these on my phone, so bear with me. Sometime after the first story, maybe a year, I find out that a couple of servants that used to live in our house from the 17 to 1800s hanged themselves near a small pond that was about 300 yards through the thick woods in front of my house. Found this out through my mom. She knows our landlord and his family from church. They own all the land around my house, and their house was another 100 yards or so up the hill from mine. It is also an old house, and from the size and construction, you can tell it is a master house, and mine was a servant's quarters and stables. Lots of other old buildings around the property, like spring houses and such. Still get the feeling of being watched from the woods. Start to get the same feeling indoors now when I go near the front windows. Dog sometimes barks and snarls at the windows. Completely different from a warning bark. Like if someone knocked on the door or something, her hair would stand up and everything. Mom gets the same feelings and says she even has heard things from the woods and has seen shadow figures in her room. One particular night, I go to bed feeling really uneasy. Before bed, I drink a glass of water and pass by the front window on my way from the kitchen to the hall. Get to the bedroom, and the feeling is still there. Eventually manage to drift off to sleep. Wake up in the middle of the night, scared, and walk into my parents' bedroom. Shake my mom to wake her, but she is unresponsive. Shake her again. She shoots upright, and her eyes are bright red in the darkness. She is pointing at me and yelling in what seems like English, but being played backwards. I wake up. It was a dream. Look over to the side of the room and see a shadow figure sitting on my desk. Nope the fuck out, and run to my parents' room. Mom is in the same position as in the dream. Shake her to wake her. Wakes up normally and tells me I am seeing things.
Backstory. This all started when my family minus one sister were coming back from Yosemite. It was me, mom, dad, bro, and one of my two sisters. We started talking about scary things when my mom says, "I'm going to tell you guys something, only because we'll be moving out of there in a few weeks." My dad's aunt. Story told to my mom by my dad's aunt. My dad's aunt would visit and would usually stay for 3 or 4 months at a time at my house. The last time she came down, she was only there for 1 week, and she stayed the remainder at my aunt's house, dad's sister. Basically, her and I shared my bros and I room, which was a standard room with 2 beds and the closet at our feet. She said she woke up once to me tapping her shoulder and went back to sleep after she asked what I wanted and didn't get a reply. The second time she woke up to the same thing. This time she got up and saw me in front of the closet, as if I was picking out clothes, and she asked what I was doing. At that same moment, she looked over at me tossing and turning in bed, and she looked back to the closet and there was nothing there. When my mom finished telling my dad's aunt's story, my little brother chimes in and starts out by saying, "I never said this because I didn't want you guys to think I was lying or stupid. So at the time this happened to my brother, he was barely getting into the privacy phase. I would be an asshole and sneak in the bathroom and rip the curtain back as he showered, and I'd scream to scare him." My brother, told by him in the car ride. My brother was taking a shower when he said he saw me reach for the curtain. He knew what I was up to and made an attempt to beat me to the curtain and ripped it back. He then said he didn't see anyone, turned the water off, grabbed a towel, unlocked the door, and went to the room. By that point, everyone in the car was freaked out, and my sister broke the silence with her story. My sister. She shared a room with the sister that was not with us that day. Well, they had the same layout as my room, but the closet was next to my absent sister's bed. If looking at the room from above, from left to right, it'd go window, sister in car's bed, gap, sister's bed, gap, and closet. My sister said that she woke up in the middle of the night as my other sister slept in my parents' room. Dad worked nights. She said that she started hearing whispers coming from the gap in between my other sister's bed and the closet. After a while, she broke all our hearts. She said she just rolled over and stared out the window crying as she listened to the whispers for minutes. My dad told us that he got home from work one morning. All 3 kids at school, me at college, and my mom at work. Since I walked to the college, I would come and go at different times. At around 9 or 10, he had just gotten into bed when he heard someone open the door, but not close it. He naturally assumed it was me, but he got up to check after he called for me, and I didn't reply. He said there was no way in hell by the time the door opened, and when he got outside that anyone could have run away without him seeing them. Jesse's story. After my dad, I chimed in with my friend's story. He was sleeping over in my room and slept in between my feet in the closet approximately where my dad's aunt saw the mass. He said he was falling asleep when he saw someone walk right outside my door. He only saw the shadows of his feet walk across. That was all that was discussed in the car ride. This is my mom and I's story. This happened a while before the car ride randomly out of nowhere. I just remembered and can't really say it was related, but Mom and I. One day I got home and I saw my mom was really distraught and in a horrible mood. I asked her what was going on, and she told me she had had the worst nightmare and wanted me to get rid of the shirt. The shirt was one that I had handed down to my brother after years. It had 3 horizontal stripes, baby blue, white, and gray from top to bottom. In her dream, my mom and dad had just turned the corner from our house to go grocery shopping when they heard tires screech behind them. They stopped, and my mom ran to see what had happened. She saw a vivid image of my little brother, shredded by a car. She said she saw my brother wearing that shirt in the accident, and that she did not want it in the house. So I did what she asked right then. I got the shirt from the middle of his half of the closet, went outside, and tossed it in the trash can. The next day, I got home and my mom screamed, telling me to get in the room. Scared and confused, I stood outside the door while my crying mom yelled, asking me what the fuck that thing was doing in the closet. She had been hanging shirts up. I walked up to the closet, feeling that something was fucked up, and I saw the shirt in what I believe was the exact spot I had taken it from the day before. Either way, it was back in the closet. I got rid of it by stuffing it deep into the trash can. My first encounter. It had been about a week after the car ride, and I was sleeping in my room on my brother's bed, where my dad's aunt stayed, except it was just a mattress on the floor. We had already started moving, so there was nothing left but random shit scattered around. I had just woken up from a horrible nightmare, and I was laying there getting a grip on myself, and I flipped on my side and stared out the window. It was summer, so I had the window open and something heavy to hold the curtain that I had moved to the left side of the window. This was the first time I saw it. From the right side of the window, I saw a black mass casually stroll from right to left in between my window and my car that was maybe 6 inches from the window. The messed up thing was what part of it I saw. My car used to be this light yellow, which could clearly be seen even at night. From bottom up staring, I saw the windowsill, my car, and that's where the torso of the mass started, and the fence, and our neighbor's house. After we had moved out, we still had the old house for a while. At the time, I was in a punk band, and I asked my mom if we could set up for band practice over there. I got the green light and basically only half lied to my mom. I would have band practice, but sometimes I'd have kickbacks there. My second encounter, I had friends over and they brought some friends and we were hanging out. While we drank in the living room, scary topics came up, and I basically told them everything that had happened up until this night. After I shut everyone up with the stories, some kid asked if I smoked. We were hanging out in the area where I first saw it when the kid who asked if I smoked put 2 and 2 together. He asked me if the stories were real, and if this was the spot where it walked by, and I said yes. We had been out there a total of about 5 or 7 minutes total, and as soon as he finished asking, we heard 2 loud bangs come from the back of the house, which was towards the direction the mass went towards. We looked at each other and I said, "See." We hopped inside, locked the house up, and left. A while passed, and we decided to have band practice at the house, except this time we brought Chris over. Chris was my singer's cousin. We finished with practice and went to smoke and came back inside. The same scary topics came up and told Chris the stories. Chris. We had just left because we got a bit creeped out. There were 5 of us in the car. Singer driving, bass passenger, drummer on my left, and Chris on my right. Chris was smoking a cigarette and we made a right turn, and as we're doing so, out of the corner of my eye, I see Chris turn his head to blow the smoke out the window. At that same time, the whole car shakes due to Chris's tremble of fear that no shit made the passenger turn around and say WTF. It took me about 20 minutes to get Chris to react and snap out of him looking at the back of the passenger seat. He said something that shook me. After he snapped out of it, he began to cry. He said he saw something underneath the streetlight in front of the house that made him jump. He then said he was crying because what made him jump reminded him of this childhood nightmare that he had of a school burning and him walking through dead people. So I think bullshit this kid rarely smokes. I just told him the stories and he sees something. Then I asked what he had seen under the light. Now I knew this. My dad's aunt described it to my mom, which is what she told us about, and my brother had said the same thing. I wasn't too sure of the height, but it was the same thing that Chris had just seen and described the same way we all did, as a dark shadow a bit taller than me. The only reason I believed him that night was because as soon as he finished his description, it completely dawned on me that after telling him the stories, I had never mentioned what it had looked like. We all drove in silence the rest of the way to the neighboring city where my singer and Chris lived, which is where we crashed that night. My singer has a younger brother that played football and had had a game a few hours earlier, from which he left early due to a tackle that messed up his leg. The kid was in obvious pain and could not stay still even as he tried to sleep. My third to fifth encounter. These three happened to me on the same night. After getting to the house and messing around for a while, we decided to go to sleep. For some reason, I kept waking up randomly. I was sleeping on a love seat with my feet on a stool when I woke up the first time. As I focused my eyes on the wall in front of me, I see the shadow of the shadow that was cast on the wall through the window behind me. They had an old school front porch, and it walked from left to right. By the time I turned around, I saw nothing. The second time I woke up and I saw a shadow sitting Indian style in front of the stool. My first thought was, Matt's leg is hurting due to the football accident and he can't sleep with the pain. I call to him and ask if he's doing okay when I feel what I believe my dad's aunt felt. As soon as I'm done asking, I saw Matt shift on the floor, and when I looked back, there was no shadow sitting in front of the TV. The last time that night I woke up again and just saw it walk down a hallway. It had been a good while after the night I saw it 3 times. By that time, I had came to the conclusion that what we had all seen was a shadow person. I had always been into the paranormal and had done my research on them. I simply came to that conclusion because they were a shadow. I knew they were usually bad and different to a normal ghost. They haunt people, not places. Which is why I believe it followed me to my singer's house. My last encounter, this sealed the deal for me to believe it was a shadow person that followed someone in my household or me. The third and last location I saw was the house we moved into and where my parents, one sister and brother live at currently. I had gone out with my band and I was pretty cross-faded and they had dropped me off at the house. I was talking to them outside of the car already for a while and we said goodbyes and I watched as they drove off. I was still standing in the street. As I turn and make my way up the driveway, I freeze and look up on top of the garage where it met with the second story of the house. Right where they met, I saw the black mass. I pretended that I hadn't seen and walked inside. The last time I saw it was back in 2010. Shadow people are usually mischievous, which is why I believe it messed with us and followed. And I know it was that thing that brought the shirt back in.
Walking home from the club. We live in Glasgow. Decide to cut through the Necropolis, biggest graveyard in UK, possibly Europe. Walk past a ghostly, pale old woman. She is wearing a Victorian nightgown. She is at the window of the warden's house, clawing at the window in a deranged way. The graveyard is by a massive hospital. Shrug it off, assuming a dementia patient. Walking through the graveyard. Hear eerie whistling. Look behind us. She is shuffling along behind us. Deep-set dark eyes. Hardly looks human. Eerie whistles and moans. All freak and run, hop fence and bolt. Fuck, that was creepy. We were all really tripping, so it actually spooked all of us. I realize now that she was just a crazy old lady, but at the time we were shaking.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.